guys, welcome back to Strong Successful Male. So for today, I'm going to go over a very entertaining article that you most certainly will enjoy, which is titled, How to Handle Being Asked About Your Count, Not That It Matters. And guys, this article is written by a woman who clearly is an feminist, who's instructing women how to handle things, how to handle men when they, God forbid, bring up the subject about her past, as in her number, her count, that type of thing. Because apparently, it seems that this must be coming up rather often. Because why would an article be written about how to instruct women to handle these awful men who dare ask this question if this wasn't happening more and more? And clearly, by this article, this woman is an feminist and obviously thinks that men should never ask this question. It shouldn't matter, that whole type of thing. And this whole article is like an instruction guide on how to help women handle these types of guys. And that'd be a pretty entertaining one to go over here. And I got to say this, guys. This article is actually coming from a website or blog called women.com, which says it all. And I'm going to post a link to the article so you can follow along as I read it. And I encourage you to pause the video and look at the writer, the journalist who's writing this. And when you see her, if her picture is recent, she looks like she's probably in her late 20s. By the way, she's over in the UK, so that takes the feminist thing to a different level. All you have to do is look at her eyes. The eyes say everything, and I want to know what you think when you see, because they look pretty darn intense. And I'm guessing this is something that really, this article is definitely something that hits home is important to her, as you're going to see as I go through this. And why am I doing this? Well, because aside from the fact that it's pretty darn funny, because more and more men are waking up to realize that they are allowed to have standards, and they don't want to have a girlfriend or a potential wife material if they want to get married that has been around more dudes than they have at Giant Stadium. They're just not into that. They don't want the village bicycle, the town bicycle. And unfortunately nowadays, thanks to so-called empowerment, more and more gals are having quite high numbers. And this whole article is going to really address some of the common issues you hear about all the time, and don't fall for it. Never fall for this if you're being shamed or made to feel bad because you got standards. Because we know darn well that the women have standards, so can men. And if guys, you don't want a gal that's, very high numbers, you have a right to turn her down. And you're going to see more and more videos popping up on TikTok and YouTube of women complaining that men aren't interested in them. Where are all the men? Because they're being rejected. I posted a video today on my X channel, on X, about a woman complaining about the whole thing. And if you're, by the way, guys, if you haven't done it already, come follow me on X if you're on there. The handle is SSM Channels, and you'll see what I'm talking about here. So this article starts off, says here, no matter how you identify sexually, chances are the body count topic has come up at least once in the dating game. Your body count refers to how many people you've had you-know-what with, and although it's no one's business but your own, it can sometimes be made into a far bigger deal than it is. Unfortunately, those who identify as women are particularly at risk of being shamed for their number, all too often by cisgender men. I told you, who's writing this, and this is not surprising you. It's right then and there. Apparently, it says here, the hypocrisy around a woman having you-know-what is historical and sadly still current. Susan Winter, a relationship expert and best-selling author of Breakup Triage, The Cure for Headache, tells women.com. Men are lauded for their body count and their reputation is elevated amongst their peers. Women are condemned and oftentimes categorized as loose, permissive, and cheap. And most certainly not girlfriend material. She added that the body count is a trophy for men, but a devaluation for women. So I'm going to stop right there. I think it's probably fair to say that 90% of guys out there do not have high numbers. 90% of the guys out there, that have had girlfriends, their numbers pretty much reflect their girlfriends. Maybe, when they're younger at a party, it was the right place, right time. But most guys don't have giant numbers. I would say probably 5 to 10% of the Chad and Tyrones, more closer to 5%, they're the ones with the high numbers, not all guys. But it's made out to be that all of us are like this, or that we're all walking around revering guys that have these massive numbers. Those type of guys, usually we think are giant a-holes, and we don't revere them. In fact, we know nowadays who sees it as a trophy, as a great thing. Who? We all know. Women. Hence what you have nowadays. And it's not a great thing. It's an unattractive quality or statistic, whatever you want to have it. She goes on, so what do you say if someone asks for your body count number? And how do you handle if someone judges you for it? Whether you feel open to sharing your exact figure or not, we've broken down the best responses for this often uncomfortable but all too common conversation. Okay, so this is going to break down to 4 or 5 different subcategories here, and you guys can hear what she's trying to, she, the author here, as well as this other person, is trying to instruct women. Section number 1 says, remember, you don't have to tell anyone. One of the most important things to remember if someone asks your body count number is that you don't have to tell them. How many people you've been intimate with is personal, and it isn't information that your partner, casual date, friends, family, or anyone else for that matter, has the right to know. It's a disrespectful question to begin with, so why should it even matter? Okay, I'll stop right there. So, in my view, okay, everybody's allowed to have their own personal information, and if somebody doesn't want to share that, that's their business. But understand, you will be rejected by more and more guys out there for that, okay? Now, I would say definitely it's not the business of your family, as in like your sister, your mom and dad, or brother, whatever, or friends, or, people you work with. But if you're getting involved with someone, because we're talking about women here, a guy has a right to know what he's getting into. I mean, literally what he's getting his parts into for a lot of reasons. One, it could be health reasons. Think about that. As well as also the numbers have shown, the studies have shown that gals that have very high body counts cannot pair bond. And so that could tell him how her ability to make a real solid connection for a future. And she may claim she wants a future, be married and all that, but she can't actually connect to him, just wants a wedding, And also, men need to know these things. They're allowed to because it's something that is important to them. It is what it is. The way a guy's future is important to a woman, her past matters to men. And again, we are allowed to have standards here because I don't know any guy that goes around who wants to have a gal who has been with 100 dudes. Not to mention putting the body count aside, flaunting their parts on Instagram or TikTok or worse, on things like OnlyFans where they're making money, engaging in spicy activities. It says here, some people may ask your body count as a way of discussing the S-word health, but that's a total different conversation. It's imperative in a new relationship or S-word encounter. I gotta speak in code, guys, because this is YouTube. S-word means what you obviously think it is. That you both or all discuss your health beforehand to keep everybody safe. However, as long as you get tested for STIs each year, no matter what your relationship status, and you're practicing safe sex, how many people you slept with is irrelevant. No, it's not. But you see, clearly this bothers the writer here, and plenty others. And I'm sure many of you guys have heard it in the stories, like for guys being shamed for dare having a problem with it. They're labeled as insecure, controlling, all these stupid things because God forbid they have a problem. Next section, consider if the information is worth sharing. She says you don't have to tell anyone how many people you've been with, but it's okay to share if you generally want to. Just consider the repercussions first. Once your number is out there, there's no talking it back. And particularly when shared with a new partner, you're still getting to know. It can lead to repercussions that you're not ready for. I believe that unless one can really handle the truth, then this conversation should be left undiscussed. Relationship expert and author Alexis Nicole White told Elite Daily. Well, Alexis Nicole White, newsflash, things always come out. The truth comes out. So if Alexis Nicole White here has quite a past and neglected to mention to her husband or boyfriend, one day the boyfriend or husband is going to find out, and that could shatter their relationship. Board-certified psychiatrist Dr. Susan Edelman shared a similar sentiment, noting you must be prepared for the reaction. She says, when you open up this can of worms, it can backfire. Sometimes a man will think that the number won't bother him, but when he actually finds out, he flips out, she said. If a guy asks a woman he's seeing, and she says, my number is 9, most guys in 2025, and, assuming they were boyfriends, okay. But if he says her number is 109, then yes, he's going to flip out. The body count question can also be an entryway into other uncomfortable discussions, such as exactly what you did with your past partners. It can be a precursor for insecurities to develop moving forward. White noted. Right there, here we go. Insecurities. We all knew that word was coming sooner or later. Okay, let's talk about the subjects you brought up about things that were done with previous partners. Well, if a guy finds out that a woman he's married to was all kind of freaky with past lovers and boyfriends, but this guy gets the bare minimum, you bet your butt he's going to have issues with this, and he should. However, there can be benefits to divulging that part of your past. If you consider yourself to be a loving, mutually respectful relationship, know more about your partner's past may strengthen your bond and help you understand them better. Honesty creates intimacy. Having a safe place to have these difficult discussions will bring you closer as a couple, Susan Winter tells women. Well, okay, I agree with Susan Winter on that part. Yeah, by having somebody you're close with and you have a great bond with and you can trust, and that'd be nice to have, and you share with them, at least you're being honest. And, but again, this is one thing if her number is 9 versus 69 or 109 or whatever. Next section here says, everybody explain why body count isn't important. As in, the women need to explain to men that body count isn't important. Good luck. She says, if somebody won't stop asking about your body count, initiate an open discussion about why it's unimportant. No matter if your number is high or low. Being intimate with multiple people doesn't prove misconceptions like you've been intentionally promiscuous or are more interested in SEX than deeper relationships. Though there's nothing wrong with that as long as you're upfront about your intentions. If you have a gal that is fucking 21 years old and has been with 100 dudes and has been on OnlyFans and all that, yeah, something tells me that relationships are low on the totem pole of importance here. It's about getting dick. A person's body count may reflect their comfort in being sexual. It may also indicate they've been actively dating and in search of the right type of partner. Oftentimes, the hunt for the right partner can unintentionally elevate a woman's body count. Unintentionally? Women are quite intentional whether they want to have relations with a guy or not. Susan Winter explains. She says, a person's past also doesn't always reflect their intentions for the future. If you feel comfortable, you could also discuss why your number is what it is, whether you disclose the exact figure or not. Sometimes a high body count reflects deeper issues. Thank you. A woman seeking validation or affirmation of her attractiveness might use SEX as a form of confirmation. Ding, ding, ding. Yeah. It may also stem from a deep yearning for human contact, where SEX is the only understood means of attaining that closeness. Is she trying to say that if somebody wants human contact, the only way they can have human contact is to have their parts in your mouth or other orifices? Come on here. After all, craving a connection can be why many people get intimate too soon in a relationship, but only delve into your past in such a candid way with someone you truly trust. Next section. Have open discussion about why they want to know your number. Susan Winter explains that there are a few questions to ask someone who seems intent on learning body count. Ask them why. What does it signify to them? What do they believe it implies? Is this an authentic belief? Or is it something shaped by social conditioning? Though these questions may not be comfortable, they will allow you to have better understanding of your partner and any insecurities they may have. It's not insecurities, but guys want to know. Look, how many times women are going to question guys about their income, their net worth, their earning potential? Nobody seems to have a problem with that. There's an off chance that your partner is concerned that you've had more SEX and better SEX than they have. Perhaps they think that they won't please you. So before you jump into conclusions and attack them, really try to hear what they are saying. Winter shares, noting it's best to come from a neutral place so they can feel like they can be open, not judged. At least this woman here, Winter, is talking about at least having conversation and dialogue about this. But I don't like the idea of whether you share the full story or not, it's always best to lay all the cards out on the table. Whether women doing it for the guys or guys doing it for the women. Obviously on different subjects, of course. There are several other reasons someone may want to know your number that aren't necessarily negative. A person inquiring about your sexual past may be trying to connect with you or looking to feel more comfortable. about their own body count or lack thereof. If it's a close friend asking, they may wish to have a deeper conversation about sex and intimacy that relates more to their own experiences than yours. Asking their intentions will allow you to answer it from a more understanding, less defensive place. Well, I'm not interested about discussing this with your friends. This is more on a romantic situation here. The last section says, know someone's reaction to your body count doesn't define you. Well, I'm sure Bonnie Blue, and I know most of you know who that is, who's been around the block, if you will, all over Australia and everywhere else for that matter. Yeah, that has kind of defined her. If you divulge your body count, don't let reactions define you. No matter if it's low, high, or where you want it to be, the number has no relation to who you are as a person or your worth. Well, again, let Bonnie Blue, the whole Bonnie Blue situation, we could beg to differ. Now, are most women walking around with a Bonnie Blue experience? Of course not. But there are a whole lot that have had a whole lot of sausage, and in some case beaver too, and just is simply not what guys want to have. And in many ways has determined or shown who they are. Because again, back to the pair bonding thing. If someone tries to make you feel less than because they consider your number high, that's SLUT shaming, known as SEX shaming, which Emily Ratajkowski has flawlessly shut down. A form of bullying. Oh, here we go. Put it under the bully umbrella, and then therefore you can't do it. I disagree. And it's completely unacceptable. One of the best ways to combat SLUT shaming is to educate others by making it clear you're not ashamed, even if you choose not to share your number. Yeah, well, here's the thing. By the whole shaming tactic with regards to that, that's helped keep a lot more people behaving themselves. But now, all of a sudden, that act of shaming, if you will, is made to be like that's bullying all of a sudden. Well, it's giving a free pass for others to behave in, well, Sodom and Gomorrah 2.0 ways. And how well has that worked out? She says, SEX is a natural part of life, but by breaking down the stigmatization around SEX and sexuality, is to feel empowered and confident to talk about sex. Everyone has a right to feel safe and comfortable. Well, I agree everybody has a right to feel safe and comfortable, but if you've created situations for yourself that, may cause a problem, that you have to own that. Apparently, Red Umbrella Ambassador Katie Salmon told Glamour UK she also recommended being kind to yourself. As long as your past experiences were between consenting adults, there's nothing to be ashamed of. Nothing heals without you examining the shame and guilt with that practicing self-compassion. It's trusting that we are worthy, replacing that shame and love and acceptance, she said. If someone considers your number too low, that's also not a reflection of you. What guy is going to consider his girl's number too low? There's no guy out there, oh shit, honey, I wish you had a higher number before we got together. So let's take a break. Why don't you go over to the freaking local college campus, and come back in a week, and then now your number will be better and we can get back together. Nobody's going to care if it's too fucking low. What is she talking about? That's also not a reflection of you. A lower body count doesn't mean you're unable to attract partners, aren't sexually mature, or anything else someone may try to project onto you. So anyhow, guys, there you go. That's the end of the article. But anyhow, something tells me this is becoming an issue when they have to have an article written about this and reference all these hot shots, wrote books and did studies and all that. But at the end of the day, guys, you as a man have a right to have standards. And if you don't want to get into a relationship beyond casual with someone that's, been around the block more than you like, you have every right as a man to simply decline them and move on. But, of course, you're not going to get there until you actually find out. And you're allowed to ask that question. And if she throws a hissy fit and a tantrum and all that, that tells you everything you need to know. And for any women watching this, you need to understand you got to be upfront with your guy. And I don't want to hear, well, he never asked me, therefore, no, it doesn't work that way. But the thing is, at the end of the day, many of you guys have heard many stories that prove this, the truth always comes out. It could take 30 years, but it's going to come out. And again, I've been saying this a lot lately, and I really think it's true. In about 5 to 10 years, definitely starting in 5 years, you're going to see a lot of gals who in 2020, 2021, when OnlyFans became big and started, showing off their parts in OnlyFans and to make money, or just how they behaved on Instagram and stuff like that, they're going to find that guys who are starting to develop standards and understand that they're allowed to have standards aren't interested in them. And they're going to be whining and complaining because no guy wants to marry them or wife them, as they say. And it's because guys are realizing they have standards. Women have standards. Believe me, they do. A lot of them. But so guys are allowed too. So anyhow, thought this would be a good one to cover today on a weekend. It'll give you guys a laugh. But yeah, I think they're shaking in their stilettos over how guys are starting to, God forbid, have some standards and stand up for themselves. And it is not insecurity. It is not bullying. It's not all the other tactics and terms they throw at us at all. We're just, many men are tired of just having to accept things. That's a bunch of nonsense. Anyway, all right, guys, that's it for today. Be sure to comment down below. Let me know what you think about this. Guys, you find a good article you want me to cover, send it over to me, strongsuccessfulmale@gmail.com. And if it's a good one, I'll definitely cover it. And be sure to like the video, share it with your friends, and subscribe. I'll catch you next time.